Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and I am new Doug, or yeah, old Doug. I'm not sure. Either way, today's episode is all about Thor Ragnarok, and that new old Doug thing will only make sense if you've seen the film. This is from 2017. It's 2 hours and 13 minutes long, and of course, it's Thor, and it's Chris Hemsworth back as the titular character, and it's would have been considered Thor 3. It would have been considered the usual final Thor film in a series, because usually these character-centric, specific films tend to only go in threes. We had 3 Iron Men, we had 3 Captain Americas, and, well, we're about to have a 4th, but with a different Captain America, and they don't number them anymore. So, yeah, Thor Ragnarok. This is big science fiction, and in this case it mentions that it's a comedy. Yeah, why is it a comedy? Well, Taika Waititi, of course. Taika Waititi, as you may know, is the guy behind What We Do in the Shadows, Reservation Dogs, Thor: Love and Thunder. His fingerprints are all over different dramas, comedies, action films over the last few years, and he is kind of a beloved director when it comes to these things. Some people might have a little bit of a stronger negative attitude towards Love and Thunder, but what are you going to do? Ragnarok, to me, is one of my favorites, not just Thor films. It's probably my favorite Thor film, but it's one of my favorite of all the Marvel films. Can't really say that it's my favorite, like the favorite, but it has a whole lot going for it. It has, of course, Thor. Of course, we got Loki in it. We have the final appearance of Anthony Hopkins as Odin. By the way, I might spoil a few things in here, but I'll be gentle. I'll try not to do too much. A lot of this stuff was seen pretty openly back when the film was being promoted, including the appearance of the Hulk. Yes, if you wanted to know what was going on during Civil War, Captain America Civil War, and why wasn't Thor around? Where was the Hulk? Well, this is that story. And yeah, there's a reason why they weren't around, because, well, there's a few reasons why they weren't around. The main story reason is that they were on another planet. Logistically wise, for Captain America Civil War to have 2 big, just high-level atomic bomb-level characters in the mix, it would kind of, if they were on the same side, or one side or the other, either way, it would have kind of overblown the entire thing. It would have been not so much a human-level battle. Thor is a god, but Hulk is a force of nature. So yeah, you can have technology and supreme fighting skills and everything else, and even a Spider-Man mixed in with that, and it's still grounded. But you put Thor and Hulk into a mix of just a dozen different other characters, and either their fight gets lost in the mix, or it overpowers everything else that's going on. It literally would be, every time they clash, would be like a bomb going off and knocking everybody else on their butts. And we see that in this film, in the arena, where they get to completely unleash on each other. And it's what fans have been wanting to, there's always that argument, can Superman beat the Hulk? Well, staying within the Marvel Universe, the big battle thing has always been the Hulk versus Thor, or the Hulk versus the Thing. And of course, we don't have the Thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet, but what we do have is Thor and the Hulk, and they have a bit of a rivalry themselves, but also they never have gotten really cut loose in a place that wouldn't do insane amounts of damage. Of course, they fought the Chitauri and Loki and everything else in the first Avengers film, but that was all directed other places, except when Hulk did the side punch to Thor in, just the way they sort of competed against each other. Going back to my comment about this as being a comedy, which is what it's listed as, you don't normally see that with Marvel films. It is because of Taika Waititi and his writing and his scripting or sometimes the ad-libbing that goes on between some of the characters, and the great chemistry that Chris Hemsworth has with him and so many other actors do in getting this story across. And it's pretty sometimes the complaint is they leans a little too hard into comedy. And yeah, I mean, sort of like Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. It was always like, hey, something serious has happened, but let's break it up with a joke. And it kind of always undercut the dramatic weight, the gravitas of any certain situation. And that continues in these films, but to me, it's a different way. It's once you realize that Thor is not just a blustery, muscle-bound dude who can do no wrong physically. Sure, he makes mistakes, and sometimes he misunderstands things, but in this case, he's awkward. Chris Hemsworth is allowed to do comedy, where he wasn't. He did a little bit of comedy in the first one directed by Kenneth Branagh, and he did some in A Dark World, but he really gets to cut loose. So, and Chris is Australian, and Taika is New Zealander, so they're kind of close neighbors, let's just say, in proximity when it comes to how they grew up and humor and everything else. So yeah, it's you get to see him cut loose in this. What you do is you also get him backed up with a humongously awesome cast. Of course, Taika Waititi, the director, also plays the voice of Korg in this, the rock man that we see. And we get to see Idris Elba back as Heimdall. Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk, and Jeff Goldblum plays the Grand Master, who is sort of the second tier, completely separated main villain, who also cannot be taken too seriously. Everything he does, even when it's menacing, is funny. But the big bad in all of this is Hela. Thor and Loki's long lost big sister. Seems that Odin has some secrets he's left behind. When he realizes he's passing away, well, that means that the magics that hold Hela in place are going to be gone. And Thor and Loki are left to deal with her. And she is a force to be reckoned with. She is terrifying. And she's also freaking gorgeous and just awesome. Because Cate Blanchett. You put Cate Blanchett in a movie, or make her speak into a microphone. I don't care. It's fantastic. She's just freaking awesome. So, yeah, that's already a stacked deck. But then you get Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. Well, sorry. Yes, Valkyrie. I'll remember that. Carl Urban, which we all see from The Boys on Amazon currently. Carl Urban plays Scourge the Executioner. All these characters go back, way back to the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby era. Design-wise, everything has a strong Kirby kind of feel to it. There's elements that, it's not 100% Kirby, but there's strong design elements that if you look at an old comic, a Thor comic from the 60s, very much. That the way Asgard is depicted. That's the word I want to use. Sorry. It's late. And also Sakaar. I know I'm just jumping all around here, but Sakaar is a planet that has existed in the Marvel Comics, but was a centerpiece for a Hulk story. So to throw Thor into this thing, it's a planet that the Hulk ended up on in the comics, where he became kind of the first, starting out as a gladiator and rising in power to become the ruler of Sakaar. And yeah, it's kind of a big deal to see this. It was a story called World War Hulk. Actually, first Planet Hulk, then World War Hulk, because when he returned from Planet Hulk, let's just say he wasn't too happy with the rest of the Avengers. The circumstances of his leaving to go to this planet was very different than, let's say, what happened in the movie here. But we get a lot of interaction between Thor and Hulk, not just battle-wise, which is awesome, but also humor-wise. There's lots of comedy between them. So it looks like Mark Ruffalo and Chris Hemsworth are having a good time just playing off each other. Same with Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston with Thor and Loki. There's just lots of great interplay. Tessa Thompson thrown into here. Everybody, yes, everything is very dire, but everybody kind of has a wry sense of humor about everything. By the way, other design element inspirations seem to be the classic Flash Gordon film from 1980. That's felt throughout, mainly because of the music is this kind of electro synth pop kind of thing. By the way, composed by Mark Mothersbaugh. Well, I'm never going to say his name right. But he is the lead singer and songwriter for Devo, if you know him. He's one of the few handful of 80s rock, new wave, pop artists, just like Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman was the singer of Oingo Boingo. He's gone on to do so many soundtracks over the years, whether it's for Spider-Man or Batman, usually for a Sam Raimi film or a Tim Burton film. He's all over those things. And Mark Mothersbaugh is all over so many geeky soundtracks, whether it's TV or movies. I can't think of him at the moment, but usually his name pops up in the credits for so many things. Oh yeah, by the way, Danny Elfman wrote the Simpsons theme. Kind of that kind of level of geekiness that is throughout. We get lots of little guest appearances here and there in the film. One of my favorites is Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch shows up and sort of messes with Thor and Loki a bit because he's the master of the mystic arts and he's kind of in charge of making sure that when mystical threats hit Earth on the level of Loki, well, things got to be taken care of. And he's not exactly sure if Thor's up to the task. And so there's a great sequence between the two of them where Stephen Strange is just messing with Thor over and over and over again, just changing their location, giving him a refillable mug of mead. All this stuff is just meant to move the story forward, but at the same time is also just lots of comedic bits throughout. So it's really fun because I don't think much sooner than this, probably the year before, is when we first saw Doctor Strange, the movie. I think that came out in 2016. Because the reason why I say that, because this is the last film in the saga from what I can recall, mainly because of the way this ends, before the Infinity Saga wraps up, where Infinity War, the end of this film leads right in to the first moments of Infinity War. And yeah, lots of seeds being sown to be reaped in the next film. And yeah, unfortunately, the only part about this which is kind of disappointing is the fact that Taika set up so many things, whether it's Thor losing an eye, just the people of Asgard. We assumed, by the way, that the people of Asgard die in Infinity War at the beginning. After basically rescuing, saying that, hey, Asgard is not a city, it's not a place, it's a people, and their whole mission was to rescue them. By the beginning of Infinity War, I could be wrong, it seems like he blows up their entire ship, killing everybody inside. Yeah, Thanos is like that. Or I can't remember if he let them go. I can't imagine he would let them go, but still, somehow they must have survived, because we see them in Thor Love and Thunder building a community. Well, we see them actually also in Endgame, at the beginning of Endgame. Yeah, we see them at the beginning of Endgame, and they're thriving in Norway. So, yeah, there's all sorts of different things going on here. Yeah, it's just music, the effects, the sound. I really love what they did with the Hulk. The Hulk looks fantastic in this. Of course, Cate Blanchett looks great whenever she's on camera. Unfortunately, when they make her a CGI character, it's very, very evident, and it's off-putting to me. I mean, it's one of the only weird flaws in this that kind of throw me off. But between the action, the music, throwing in Led Zeppelin in the beginning and the end during the battles, something that I think they weren't even planning on doing during the final battle until it really just hit with the when the trailer was cut. And everybody's like, "Yeah, this is cool." And they're like, "You know what? Maybe we should add that into the final battle of the film for a little bit." I think that's what happened. I remember being in the crowd at Comic-Con many years ago, probably 2016, a year before this came out, and they debuted the Planet Hulk stepping onto the stage to battle Thor, and everybody lost their minds. Just they tend to do that when the Marvel panel at Comic-Con. If you ever get to go and can stand to be in line for 3 days and miss the rest of the convention, well, there's your chance. Just do that. Yeah, just do that. And you'll get to see something that will literally blow your head off. This year at Comic-Con, I imagine they'll give us a good look at Captain America, Brave New World, Fantastic Four, maybe Blade, if they ever get around to filming it and keeping a director. I don't know. But yeah, that all said, if this is, this is the kind of film that, yeah, it connects to everything. It has, some past that you need to know, stuff that's going to happen soon after that you'll want to know. But this does stand on its own as its own rewatchable, solid movie. One of the biggest problems I have with the MCU is that a lot of the time they make movies that don't necessarily have a beginning, middle, and end that serve within its own realm. It doesn't feel like it. Even if they intended, it doesn't feel like it was, the TV show or the movie or whatever it is wasn't done just to tell that story. It was meant to tell, oh, we're doing this so you can, as a tease for the next thing we're going to do. Or maybe this one isn't as important. We haven't put the big money into it. We're just building toward the next Avengers film. Like, just make a movie, connect them however you like. But please, for the love of Feige, just make solid, whole stories with these characters. So that if I can sit down and watch it without going, who are they talking about? Why is this happening? Like, yeah, I understand the mid-credit sequence and the after-credit sequence. The after-credit sequence is usually just a funny wrap-up, just to laugh at, usually. The mid-credit sequence is usually a harbinger for what's to come, and that is thrilling, usually, in many cases. But you gotta do more than just hang stuff on mid-credit sequences or just make references. I love seeing all these little Easter eggs throughout these films that call back to old stuff, like the Tesseract or the Infinity Gauntlet sitting in Odin's throne room. Being Infinity Gauntlet is a dummy. It's a fake. But and I love all the references that we will not get until we see another movie 3 years later. Like, oh man, that plan was laid out in Thor Ragnarok. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. All those seeds were, seeds were sown and reaped. So yeah, it all worked out, and that's fantastic. I love all of that. But I think what really scored with this, with Taika and the cast, is that, one, it's fun, two, it just looks great, and it is a story that has the boys, the brothers, dealing with who they are in relation to their father, in relation to Asgard, and each other. And yeah, it's a whole lot more than that, but I think it's definitely it's something that gets that's explored, and the characters grow, and the characters change, and it is a happy ending where not usually the ending is sort of eked out, and it's okay. Like, oh, wow, we survived, but all those other people died, and all the people we cared about. But I'm sure this will all be wrapped up in a movie three years from now. No. Oh, I hope this is going to be figured out in a Disney Plus original series. No. Finish the story, and then pick up the important other little parts in a TV, in a Disney Plus special or a movie in the theaters. I know that, yes, I know it's more difficult now. because after the pandemic, everything has gotten messed up. Timing and everything else. And Scarlett Johansson is also just not going to forgive a whole lot of people for that. And speaking of which, she does make a small cameo in this as well on a video screen. But yeah, there's lots of neat little surprises throughout this. There's the Willy Wonka song appears in this for some reason. It makes sense, but it's there's a Willy Wonka song that gets thrown into this soundtrack. So yeah. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is so much fun. It has Hulk fighting Fenris the Wolf. Yeah. And by the way, if you're a big Norse mythology kind of person, do not expect this to line up at all with Norse mythology. The whole Hela and Fenris and all this other stuff. The genealogy between this, Hela was originally, I think, the daughter of Loki, and then Fenris is somewhere in there, and it's all freaky animal stuff. No. Just forget all about that. Hela is the sister of Thor, and technically Loki, adopted. So, yeah, just deal with that. Just deal with that. This is the Marvel Norse mythology. It is not classic Norse mythology. It's okay. It's okay. We'll all get by. We'll all live. I spent 20 minutes on this. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 80. Shrink you a little bit. Okay. I'm not sure what this is. I think it might be a docuseries. I am not sure. We were very close, by the way. If we had gotten one more movie, we would have had, so far in this quarter, 4, 4, 4, and 4 of each type of thing. Movies, documentaries, shorts, and series. But nope, this throws it out of whack. Of course, because we have more documentaries than anything else remaining on Disney Plus that I have not seen yet. And yes, I am pretty sure I can make the claim that I've seen more Disney Plus content than anybody on the planet. Anybody. There might be other people who do reviews and talk about Disney Plus content or Marvel stuff or Star Wars stuff or Pixar and all this other stuff. But nobody has done over 1,700 episodes consecutively every day. If there is, I don't know about it. You let me know about it if that's the case. Anybody at Disney notice? They know who I am, I think. Either way, it doesn't matter. We're going to be watching Finds Return to the Wild. I don't think it's finesse or anything. It's Fiends. I don't know. I'm going to say Finds for now. Finds Return to the Wild is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that. Excelsior.